Hi, Mike German from Visual Animation. Right, today it's time to get all frilly. You've just seen it. It's a pillow with a frilly or rough edge, a ruffle, I think they call it, don't they, around the edge. It looks good, nice effect, very quick to do. So let's get on and I'll show you how to do it. Right, here we are with a new screen, and let's start with a cube and let's make that 100. Let's bring that down to 0.5 on the Y and then 100 in the Z. Now obviously you can make your pillow rectangular, any shape you like, but let's just do a square for now. And then let's put in 80 in the segments in the X, and then 80 in the Z. We're not putting anything in the height because we're going to be increasing that up with a balloon inflation. So we're going to keep that all low. Right, so let's put on ground shading with lines. Now you can see it's fairly nice and dense, so we can get some air in that and it will react properly. Right, so first thing let's do is let's put the balloon tag on and let's change a few things here. So on the cloth part of this, we want to add, let's go about 555 in bendiness, 55 in stretchiness. Let's give it a lot of bend and stretch. Let's bring the thickness down to about 0.2. What else can we change? Target length. Right, so we need to key a target length. And what that's going to do, this is going to create the frill or the ruffle around the edge. Okay, so at 0 on the timeline, we will keyframe record that at 100. And then if we move, right, let's add ourselves 300 frames. If we move forward to say 100, and let's keyframe, let's increase this to 150 and then hit a keyframe there. Okay, so it will slowly add more target length into the material. So it will be 50% more material by the time it's got to 100 frames. Right, so what else? Balloon. Right, so here let's put in quite a big bit of overpressure, like 60, and let's do that over 100 frames. Soft body is okay. Mix animation right here, just to keep this a bit more stable, so things don't move around all over the place when they're trying to calculate. We just want to add a little bit of force just to keep it a bit more in the scene. And then also to help with that, we can go Control D, project settings, scene, simulation scene, and then zero out the gravity. Right, so let's just try this and I'll show you what happens. So basically it's inflating to 100 frames like that, and it's also adding 50% more material as well, which is why it's all creased. Now this is very similar to the video I did before, the last one, which was creating the tufted mattress. This is a similar process, but here we want to restrict this ruffle fringe to the edge, and we want the inflation to be in the center, so we split the two out. So basically, how do we split out these two effects? So what we do is we use a vertex map. So right click on cube, go to other tags and add a vertex map. Right, let's first of all go to basic and let's change the names of these because we want to be clear which each one's doing. So if we type in here inflate, this one's going to be responsible for inflating. So what we'll do is we'll use fields, and we'll go to fields and we'll add a box field. Okay, now obviously it's too big, so we'll just scale that down just so it's onto the cube like that. So this will be the inflation. So the yellow area is what is going to have air pumped into it, and then when it gets to the red there won't be any air. All right, so this makes sense, doesn't it? So let's inflate this center part, and then let's not inflate the edge where the fringe is going to go. Right, now we want to leave this gradual yellow through to red because it will dome the blue, or dome the cushion up quite nicely. If we go to a harsh edge here, it will look more like a square. I'll show you the difference in a second, but yeah, I'll leave it as a gradual 50% on the offset there. Right, so that is our inflation. We now need to create one for the frill around the edge. So if we let's just copy that one. Just alt and copy it. And now this one we're going to call frill or fringe or whatever you want to call this. Let's just call it frill. Right. So we go to fields and we need to create, let's take that one out actually. We need to create another box field just so we have two here because one works differently to the other. Right, so in this box field, let's again, let's just shrink that down just so it fits on. Now here what we need to do, a couple of things we need to do. We need to go to the vertex map here, which was called frill, and now we need to go back to basic and we need to invert, okay, because we want the effect to work on the yellow, which is now on the edge, not in the center. Okay, and now we also need to look at remapping. This inner offset we want to bring all the way up to 100%. And now we can shrink this back down and it's got this really clean edge, right, which is where the frill will be. This is where this sewn edge will be around the pillow or around the cushion, and that's what the frill will be up to. So you can decide how big or small you want this frill to be. So now we've got the two vertex maps. We've got one for inflation and we've got one for the frill around the edge. Right, so now if we go to the balloon tag, this will start to make more sense. So we go to surface and we say, right, we've keyframed the target length to change over 100 frames to 150. Okay, 50% more material added in. But where do we want that material to be added in? Only on the edge, right? So the frill. So what we do here on the map is we grab our vertex map frill that we've just done and drop it in there. Okay, and then we go to balloon, and obviously this bit is talking about the inflation. We're inflating the pressure in this balloon over 60 frames. Sorry, 60 overpressure over 100 frames. So the vertex map here will be inflate. Because if we don't put that in there, it will inflate all of it, including the frill around the edge, and we don't want any air in there. So we're saying we're restricting the air to this yellow section. And then when we go to fringe, we're saying we only want the fringe 50% extra material to appear on that yellow section. Right, so let's give it a go. Let's see what we get if we just press play now. Okay, now that's obviously pumping up probably a little bit too much. So we could just dial back the pressure there. So we could go say 40. Just give that a go. Okay, now let's try it back. Let's just knock it right back to say 20 and see what we get there. Okay, that's probably not too bad. There you go. So depending on how much air you want in here, you would add obviously more or less in the overpressure. Now what I was saying earlier about the way this inflates is like that. Look. So it's inflating more in the top, creating this dome, and then less here where it's fading back out to red. Now if we was to bring that offset up to 100, so it just inflates on the yellow, you're going to get something that looks more like this. So you're going to get more of a kind of cube sticking up. Now if you want your pillow to look like that, absolutely fine. You know, it's a lot flatter on the top and it goes out to the edges. So if you want that design, do that. If you want it to be more domed and subtle, then you bring this in around about 50%. And then as it starts to do it, you'll get more of a centered, more of that shape. You won't get it up and then crossed and down. You'll get more of a taper, which is kind of what I think a pillow looks like. I haven't actually got one to hand, but it's got that kind of roundy top on it, hasn't it? So that's down to the inflation and the offset. That gives you this shape. Okay, so short and sweet. Hope that's been useful. Think of lots of uses you can apply this to. With a fringe, it doesn't have to be around a pillow or cushion. It could be on clothing. It could be even something metal. You know, something quite crimpled and industrial. And you know, I'll probably think of some other ideas actually. But yeah, I just thought I'd start with that. A pillow, nice and easy. And I'll speak to you very soon in my next video. My name is Mike German from the Visual Animation. Take care. Goodbye for now.